Hello! You're listening to Everyday Encouragement, Timeless Truths for Today, a weekly podcast designed to bring you snippets of encouragement to help you as you go about your day. I'm Jenny Guy, your host. With this episode, we've come to the end of the series titled A Balancing Act. The Apostle John prayed that we prosper in all things, that we be healthy, and that we have prosperous souls. Today, we're tying together all the episodes of this series so we can better understand his prayer. Let's get started. I don't have much to say in this episode, for we're at the end of the series titled A Balancing Act. It's time to tie everything together so we can draw a picture of what our soul should look like when all of its components, the mind, the will, and the emotions, are in balance and working together in harmony. This image should help us recognize when our soul is out of balance. It should also help us pinpoint the area of the imbalance. Here's the picture. Imagine the soul as a three-legged stool. One leg is the mind, another leg is the will, the third leg is the emotions. For the stool to be balanced and function properly, all the legs have to be at the same height or level. If one leg is too short or too long, then the stool will wobble. Sitting on the stool will still be possible, but we won't be steady, for we will have to constantly make adjustments to keep from falling off. If the stool is too uneven, then we might give up on it altogether and exchange it for another one. I've tried to show in this series that one or more of the legs on our stool can be uneven. But this example can only go so far, because we're not going to swap out our soul for another one just because one of its legs isn't level. So, what can we do when we realize that our stool is wobbly? When we see that one of its legs is too long or too short? If we go back to the previous parts of this series, we'll see that those questions have been answered. In A Balancing Act, Part 1, Introduction, we learned about the Apostle John's prayer that we prosper in all things, that we be healthy, and that we have prosperous souls. In order to understand John's emphasis on the soul, the idea of the soul as having three components, mind, emotions, and will, was introduced. Each component was then examined in a separate episode. In A Balancing Act, Part 2, The Mind, we learned that it's possible to retrain our mind, to change our thoughts. In fact, the Bible encourages us to do just that. As we learn to think the thoughts that lead us into the life God wants and has planned for us, then we will find ourselves being changed, transformed. In A Balancing Act, Part 3, The Will, we explored the role our will plays in daily life, defined as our determination to do what is necessary to achieve a desired result. We can clearly see the impact the will has in helping us to live. Finally, in A Balancing Act, Part 4, The Emotions, we saw that it's important to recognize the seasons and times of our lives and the emotions that go along with those seasons and times. Getting stuck in our emotions prevents us from moving on when change occurs. By now, you've probably come up with your own examples of what a wobbly stool looks and feels like. If so, then the goal of this series has been reached, for I wanted to illustrate what I think the Apostle John's prayer is about. I believe that he wanted us to really look at ourselves and how we operate as we fulfill life's daily tasks and responsibilities. Too often, we can get comfortable operating from a particular area, the mind, the will, or the emotions, and downplay or ignore the others. When that happens, then our souls aren't prospering. If you find that you need to level the legs of your stool, if your soul isn't prospering the way you know it can and should, then I invite you to explore the Bible and find scriptures that speak to your situation. They will guide, support, and encourage you as you make whatever adjustments are needed. I'll close this series as I opened it with John's prayer. Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. I hope you heard something today that has encouraged you and possibly given you something new to think about that will motivate or inspire you. If you would like a PDF copy of the show notes for this episode of Everyday Encouragement, Timeless Truths for Today, visit my website at jguypublisher.com. New episodes are published each week on Wednesday. I hope you'll join me for another installment of Everyday Encouragement, Timeless Truths for Today. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, be encouraged.